Okay, this is what our commodities market round looks like for this Thursday. Adim Okwesa from Financial Derivatives, one of the research analyst team, is here. Thank you.
Thank you very
It's good to have you here. I'm interested in oil, I'm interested in cocoa, I'm interested in a few other burning issues. But first, what's making the headlines? I know oil prices keep moving one step forward, two steps backward. No one is sure what the Saudi diplomatic, geopolitical issues will be like. But of course, our investors still going on over the journalists that vanished and all of that. While the Iranian sanctions seem to have taken the back burner, at least for now, yes. Even though those sanctions will most likely take effect in November as scheduled by as planned by the U.S. administration.
Yes, indeed. Oil prices are a bit softer this morning. Like you said, no one really knows what is going to happen with respect to the Saudi issue and also in view of the U.S. sanctions on Iran taking effect. I think right now fundamentals are trumping geopolitics right now. Yesterday, U.S. stockpiles grew for the fourth consecutive week. I think that speaks to the overarching concern of weak global demand for oil. In 2017, whereas there was a synchronized global economic acceleration, now this year the momentum is starting to peter out. We're seeing weaknesses in the Eurozone, we're seeing weaknesses in Japan, in China, and also that emerging market turmoil. So that is really feeding into concerns of weak global demand. But of course, there's still this Saudi issue. I think investors don't actually know what is going to happen. I think although the White House has been very dismissive of these allegations, the White House has been reluctant to put any blame on the Saudi kingdom. But I think pressure is ratcheting up, pressure from the Senate, pressure from the EU, ratcheting up to put pressure on Saudi Arabia, to maybe sanction Saudi Arabia. I think if that happens, the risk there is that perhaps Saudi might adopt a siege mentality, might become more defensive. The risk there is that it might, although I must say it's very remote, that it would use its oil exports as a weapon to retaliate.
But there's going to be a limit to that because the market will have a lot to chew. There's an OPEC meeting also coming up in November, so quite a lot on the table to consider here. So, but in the midst of it all, what Nigeria is looking at is a decent oil price to manage 2018 budget and to plan for the next one.
Yes, indeed. And if at right now, $80 per barrel oil is actually a very decent price. I think any price above $85 per barrel will be destructive for demand and, of course, affect the global economy. So at this current price, we're actually at a very comfortable level where we are about $30-something above our budget benchmark, and we're in a good physical position right now. And, of course, even if oil prices are high, we have to know that it's a double-edged sword for Nigeria. The higher oil prices rise, the more subsidy payments would have to make. So it is actually to our advantage if oil prices don't exceed, if the oil prices don't go much higher than this.
Rapidly high.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so we can manage it with the recovery or under recovery of prices and all of that.
Yes.
A bit more manageable.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so what's the big story with the power sector? And I'm interested in that because I think I'm on the receiving end when it comes to power right now, or electricity.
It's a very depressing situation right now, I must say, because power has been very volatile. We're seeing one power going to as low as 2,700 megawatts, then one day going out to as high as 3,800 megawatts. Today, it's about just 3,000 megawatts per hour. The reason why is because there have been several grid collapses this year. About over 20 times the grid has collapsed. And the reason is not really clear right now. And despite efforts of the TCN to manage grid collapses, we're still seeing this thing happen incessantly, and it's a very worrying trend right now. That is why, and of course, but the good news is that we're seeing more consumers take up solar power, more consumers take up the use of biomass to power their operations. So that is the one thing that is actually comforting now. People are going away from this unreliable power grid.
National grid.
Yes.
As it were. Look at the grid constraints. The Naira equivalent of the power loss is 1.82 billion Now, annualized, that's about 600, close to about 700 billion. Naira, that's quite a lot of money we can use.
Yes, indeed, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money we can use.
Yes, a lot of money we can use if you can just mitigate those constraints, if you can mitigate those gas grid constraints, that would go a long way to reducing those losses.
Maybe we'll get a bit more clearance with what the government is doing. The Honorable Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had a breakfast meeting this morning. We understand here in the city of Lagos, downtown Victoria Island, with for the meetings of the Nigeria-South Africa Chamber of Commerce business. We hope you provide more clarity as to what we're doing along this line moving forward into an election year, looking into the next year, all the things we need to achieve to actually achieve even the GDP is revised a bit downward. We'll still have to meet those GDP targets by whatever means.
Exactly.
Whether it's whichever way it goes, we need power. But if I'm going to just move up a bit, what's the story around the cocoa industry? Yes, we know, had a bit of an idea what our neighbors are doing, Ivory Coast and Ghana, with the new floor price, which they've just said. Where is Nigeria's pricing at the moment? Where's the market position leaving us?
Yes, in terms of our global price, we're at 2,194 per metric ton. We are 60% higher year to date. I think that is largely due to this, like you said, this increased cooperation between the two largest producers in the world, that is Ivory Coast and Ghana. I think they have decided to form like a sort of mini cartel to influence prices, and I think that is what is propping up prices right now. And of course, it's very good for Nigeria. We are a much comfortable position compared to this time in 2017. So that would only provide a greater incentive for farmers to plant more cocoa seeds.
Maybe we need more cocoa producers association as strong as OPEC.
That is still a long way from that, but at least they have started it too.
Yeah, and majority of the members will be African countries.
Exactly, yes.
Nigeria,
top five cocoa producers are, I think, in Nigeria. I think 4 of the top 5 cocoa producers are African countries.
Yes.
So yes, we are in top 10.
Yeah.
So we're actually a big player in that industry. Yes. So any improvement in prices would only come to our benefit.
So if you go to the global marketplace and we check with the soft commodities, when you look at what is the outlook, cocoa prices are up 2.5%, $2,194 per metric tons, because there is an increased demand. I had a few pieces of chocolate yesterday, I must confess, and my heart goes out to the cocoa farmers. Okay, so where are we with that?
Yes.
What's the weather conditions looking like in terms of what's the weather impact? How is it impacting on output and prices?
Yeah, there were initial concerns that favorable weather conditions in countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana will lead to a very robust output. I think this is the time for the harvest of the main cocoa crop. But fortunately for us, that counterbalancing force of improved global demand, especially for dark chocolates. There's this pattern of increasing global demand for dark chocolate, especially in advanced economies.
Because we're giving birth to young folks who are tasting chocolate maybe for the first time.
Yes, and it is more due to health consciousness. People are shifting from milk and light chocolates to dark chocolates. Yes, so that is driving.
So it has health benefits. Dark chocolate.
Very healthy, good for cholesterol, good for your heart. So it's actually more beneficial than.
I should have more.
Yes, I think it's actually good for you. It's actually very good.
I need more of those very dark, a little bit of the bitter taste.
It is. If you can manage that first initial bitter taste, yes, then it's very soothing for you. It is very soothing. And of course, chocolate is very comforting confectionery. Yes, so
I'm going to talk to my producers. I need more chocolate in here on the show, folks. It's just that I'm going to be eating imported chocolate most of the time. Not likely any made in Africa, really.
Not likely going to be any made in Nigeria. That speaks to the lack of our underinvestment in cocoa value chain.
Could someone just give me a made in Nigeria chocolate?
Those that are made in Nigeria, I'd have to say are low quality. I should say. I think we need to invest in that cocoa processing part of our value chain.
Value chain.
We would extract more value from that commodity if we put more money in that.
That's a business idea. We're giving some folks out there.
Yes, it is.
Okay. If you guys pick up that idea and give us the first made in Nigeria chocolate, dark chocolate, that will be innovative. And of course, you're making money. From 180 million people, we have very big youth population that are still tasting those chocolates, some of them for the first time. What else is in the soft commodities market? Look at the other grains, wheat, corn, sugar, prices. Where are we?
Well, wheat and corn, they are a bit volatile this time of the year. I think there was a robust harvest from the U.S., a robust corn harvest from the U.S., but also under that is still that trade war tensions, U.S. and China tensions. China is a major importer of U.S. grains, so that threat of higher tariffs on commodities like soybeans, like corn, like wheat is affecting demand. So that is why the price has been actually very volatile in recent months. But Nigeria being a net importer of wheat, lower prices is beneficial for us. So,
but we're seeing 2018 is going down on record as one year with so much adverse weather conditions. Almost every part of the planet, with the exception of few.
I think
Canada,
the fact that rainy season has been rainy season in October, that is unheard of.
Yes,
to be honest. I think that is
yesterday.
Yes, indeed. I think that just due to climate change. Climate change is becoming more pronounced, and we need to take more focus.
So this is a factor. If I am trading the commodities market, in particular the agro commodities or what you call the soft commodities, I have to be conscious of weather conditions, whether I'm going to try and say I'm going long on cocoa, I'm going short on wheat, or whatever I'm doing. Even if I am producing, I'm doing warehousing and all of that. Yes, exactly. Weather is now a major factor.
And it's becoming even more difficult to predict weather conditions now. So
that's making it far more difficult.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's wrap this up for about a minute or so. What exactly, break it down, the goodies and the downers for the rest of the week?
Well, I think that the major point, if you can, Nigeria climbed 10 places to 115th on the global competitiveness.
Exactly, we're about to miss that. How would we miss that? That's a great news. But from 125 to 150.
It depends on how you look at it, though. If you look at it from glass half full, Nigeria's improved 10 places. But from a glass half empty, we improved on our position by a ranking decline. That means other countries only performed far poorly than us. Yes. So in real terms, we're not in better place.
If others perform poorly and we perform better, maybe. But if the glass is half full, like you say half full, I say half bread is better than nothing.
We have actually.
I don't want that glass to go there.
We've made modest improvements in improving our business environment through the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. We've seen ways to start your business, ways to pay your taxes. Business trading around Nigeria, dealing with ports, improvements have been made in those areas, but there's still
a few good things we can tick off. A few agencies also seem to be working.
Yes, but quite frankly, 115th out of 100.
No, we still have it. It's still a long way from paradise.
It's mediocre for a country of our size and potential.
No, I agree with you, and that's the point. Here it's like squeezing water out of stone, if you know what I mean. The way to get things done here. But again, if you look at what we scored about 47.6, average score is 60 out of 100. So we're still below that when it comes to folks out there. Quite a lot more work to do. Let's get it done. We can do better than 115. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Adimo Kwesi, one of the research analysts at Financial Derivatives Company. When we come back, of course, we have a bit more. $2.8 billion is what we're looking for, and we got those approvals. We'll talk more about that later in the program. You're watching Business Morning.